Greetings. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor. There's four titles today, or four subjects. And the first one is number one, that we are bound by our love for Pilates. We are bound by our love of Pilates. And I say that because of a recent picture of a group of people that had assembled to do Pilates, and then a picture of them was taken. And more than the normal number that you see huddled around a caddy, 50 maybe, 40 maybe 60. But there was a lot of people. And the other pictures had shown they'd all participated in a mat. And all that energy, all that flush, all that presence that you come away with having done the mat, to me comes out of the picture, just as a vibration, as a passion, as a love, and it's great to feel that and envy not being part of that. Number two, my point is, tune yourself in, do the mat, because it's the performance of the mat that is the process of creating the vibration, if you will, for sound and tune, right? And then when you do the mat, you establish a certain vibration, a certain sense of energy, a certain presence, a certain awareness, a higher level of observational, of situational awareness. That's a really great thing to feel in and of yourself individually. And then when you amplify that by the numbers of people that can join into a participation of that, live, in person, I think it's harder to do when it's not live, and especially if it's not in person. But trying, there's nothing wrong with trying. And it makes me think I ought to just try to verbally deliver a mat and see if you can follow along. That would be interesting. I'd put on a tape, I think. Number three, at the end of any effort, any exercise, doing Pilates, a lot of times it culminates in laughter for me. In my effort to do the exercise, I often talk about it being a deep dive into your concentration, and coming out of the mat brings about a level of presence that has to do with, I'm repeating myself, I slipped in the title, I thought I got lost. Doing the mat, and in doing the mat, and in aiming for being completely concentrated on the purpose of the exercise, when you have anything at all that you attribute to the purpose, and you wholeheartedly develop or devote yourself to being focused on what? What's the target? Control, right? whatever dives down in your effort to concentrate in order to do what? Control? Well, you just can't go to a level of control and maintain it and hold it. At least forever, because eventually we die, and so the laughter comes from the feeling of being an airplane pilot and trying to go up and up and up in a prop plane. And there's a limit to how high and how long you can go up before you fall off and go down, right? So that's a different direction, pointing out that it's either how deep you can go or how high you can get before you fall off of that and return from the reach toward the control. And the good thing is that what's that? Number 4, where I'm going, is that in that effort to reach for something, to reach for control through the purpose of the exercise that you're doing, I'm paraphrasing, Joe, in reaching for the ideal expression of it, or as much control of it as you can make in this current attempt with what you've got going, right? So control and the absence of control exists on many levels when it comes to a human being. And mostly Pilates is this very narrow, for me, is this very ideal vein of ideal ideal focus, I think I want to say. Because I'm on number 4, and number 4 is about time compression. And so what I'm trying to say is that in anything, before I found Pilates a long time ago, I was in a belief that the quality of what you do and the order that you do it in matters. And you know, I came into Joe's choreography, which says the same thing. The quality that what you do and the order that you do it in matters. Okay? Now my point in number 4 is about time compression, is that the time compression, the better you get at diving, the quicker you come up. And the faster your plane takes off reaching for vertical, the faster it falls off. Right? And the laughter is in the pursuit of what you're after, and it is in some way has an ideal nature to it. Because actually you're after control, and to some degree there are of course limits to how much a human being can control. And a lot of that has to do with the human being's ability within itself and its own control. And Pilates is this poem of an expression of conditioning that makes any human being capable of reciting the poem to yield the effects from the effort. And I've said a long time, I'm the laziest guy you'll ever meet. The reason I came into thinking about the hips as being a grip is because all I was hearing about from all the Pilates culture was pull your stomach in, use your buttocks, and squeeze your inner thighs together. Stomach, buttocks, inner thighs. Stomach, buttocks, inner thighs. And those are arrows, right? Those are arrows. And lazy as I am, I just wanted to try to consolidate those three things I was supposed to do into an image that allowed me to accomplish all three without having to think of them separately. And that turned from arrows, which are vectors, into rotation, which is something beyond or other than. It's a different kind of an ideal. Right? I believe that the better you get at performing the mat, the shorter the time it takes, and that's the whole purpose for getting better at doing it. And in that belief, I felt free in teaching an advanced mat that everybody knew it was going to be the full mat in 35 minutes, that I talked theory and concept and announcements and anything they had to think about up front, so that when we started the mat, everybody knew that at the end of the mat, at the end of the push-ups, they were done, and they floated off away in their own space, right? We came together to strike a chord. We came together to strike a chord. And in having achieved that frequency, that vibration, the state of presence or awareness, or having done something with such discipline, that then one lets go into the rest of the world, the human being meeting the rest of the world, having done their conditioning for to be ready for whatever comes up in that world. So that's a clicker thingy, right? I'm thinking about doing a toy talk tour. So those were the four things. It's so thrilling. That's the word I'm looking for. Thrilling. It's thrilling to see such energy from a group of people that have been doing Pilates, been doing the mat work. And maybe they hadn't been doing any of the mat, and it was all staccato, and it was just looking at pieces and parts, and there was no flow. But I would like to imagine, in my imagination, that group got down and did the mat. And from the energy that came off of that, experience the camaraderie of presence that yields, because it's a pretty special thing. And it's nice to see more of that coming out of social media. That's what happens when you do the mat. That was my number 2, that when you do the mat, you tune yourself in. And what you're really tuning in is like 3 instruments or 3 capacities, and that's being, thinking, and observing, according to the view of MMP. Right? And number 3 was about laughing at the end of an exercise. When you have a sense of purpose, especially when you know how to take it into the cave, right? Where you have to listen to what you feel. The easier it is, the quicker it is to find control. So in sign language, control is a grip. Amazing, right? I think Joe would cross his arms, and whether it was true or not, of course, right? Because it just makes total sense. And so the most practical thing I had for this broadcast is don't lose track of the nature of when you get good at something, you do it better and it takes less time. When you get good at something, you get better. I think I'm redundant there. When you get better at something, it takes less time, right? And when it comes to conditioning, being the laziest guy in the world, I not only wanted to convert the 3 arrows of stomach, buttocks, and inner thighs into a grip. That's where the core came from as a grip, or at least the beginnings of recognizing that, yes, indeed, there is rotational dynamic at the hips. And that's one of several rotational dynamics that the body plays to achieve movement through space. Interplays and interacts with. And so recognize the natural effect of the efficiency of Pilates. And of course, add whatever else you want into it if you're expected to fill a 55-minute slot, or a workshop, or a whatever. But from within the MMP point of view, that experience, performance, and group performance of it. So to survive as a Pilates instructor, I encourage you to work on your delivery of your mat instructions. And as I say that, I feel insecure because I haven't taught mat in a while. But in saying that and talking to you about professing or surviving as an instructor, remember that the necessity is being the rabbit out in front of the pack. And that's hard to do without well-polished phrases and understanding of what comes next and transitions and all of that. So you want to survive as a Pilates instructor, be able to deliver a good mat. Yeah. Practice. Record others who do. Get tapes of people that teach, have taught mat, right? Key phrases that you like, write them down. I don't suggest you do them during the class unless it's a workshop. But right after class, you can write something down if you like the way it was said. Make it your own. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines. See behind the curtain. Add to and to. Direct your thinking. Geist.